Hello, welcome to Fibro Warrior, my new normal. I'm MJ Aragon, and I'm here with my producers, JoJo Merricks.
Hey.
And Tony Jeffries. I know you're always so late. Do you do that on purpose now?
Of course, now that's the thing. It's the shtick. It's like that's
what I was thinking of. Like he's doing it on purpose now. I know some of you are wondering, where's Christy? She's just been really extremely busy with family and doctor's appointments, lots of doctor's appointments. So,
hi, Christy.
Yes, hi, Christy. We miss you. Hopefully she will be with us next week. Next week, this is number 19. Next week's gonna be the big 2-0. We're gonna be at 20. So yeah, hopefully she'll be here. We're gonna have back Diane and my love Bill as our guests, and so hopefully you guys will really enjoy that one. That one will be a little bit longer. We'll probably run 40 minutes on that one. Typically 30 minutes for these. But anyway, so that's what's coming up. And then today I'm gonna read about. I wrote a little post about people's ER experiences. Because it's amazing, you know, I know fibro isn't something that's really been discussed for very long, and so people still are looking at it as if it's not real. But to go into an ER and have some of these people treat us like we're next to not important is not acceptable. So I had written a little something about that. And then I wrote Marilyn, her 91st birthday just passed on the 1st, and I was watching this autopsy show where they were doing an autopsy on her and trying to figure out how she actually died, because of course, there's all these conspiracies anyway. So it sparked an idea for a blog I wrote. So I'm going to read those to you guys today. And I'm really warm today. So the ER one, I wrote it on our page, and so I wrote. I've never had such a horrible experience anywhere near what I've read about from different fibro warriors as to the details of their visit to an ER and how they have been treated so poorly. I can only deduce that it's because our illness is invisible and undetectable, so drug seekers are blatantly using fibro as an excuse to score drugs, hence why nurses and doctors have to be cautious, but they should never be rude. My heart goes out to any of my fibro sisters or brothers who have been treated in such an unkind, outright rude, or discriminatory fashion. That is not okay. Know that you can speak up, either then or later when you feel up to it, but please voice your feelings, report the subpar treatment they have given you. It is your right. Although I understand the doctors and nurses, their trepidation, treating us with no regard for the suffering we endure, and as though every one of us are full of crap, is grounds for a stance. If you ever get treated that way at an ER or urgent care, you can count on it that I will stand up for myself, as well as all of my family of warriors, because we deserve to be treated with compassion, respect, and most of all, empathy. You are not alone, and I will stand up for you always. So to hear how poorly, I mean really out and out rude some of these people, someone mentioned about, she came with her daughter, and thankfully her daughter stuck up for her, but they basically called her name, and as soon as she mentioned fibro, the nurse gave her the look and was like, pfft, and just said, okay, go sit back down, and called someone else. How rude is that? And then when another nurse came out, started to call her name, that first nurse tells her, she says she has fibro. And that nurse did the same thing. She's like, never mind, and called someone else. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. So when she finally did get in to see the doctor, which was, I don't know exactly the time frame, but maybe an hour and a half later, the same thing, just the treatment of getting her into a room, and she still sat there. She was there for 3 hours, I think she said, just waiting for someone to take care of her until her daughter finally said something. And that shouldn't have to happen. You know, I understand that they have to be cautious, but to just completely ignore somebody and make them wait longer just because you don't believe what they're telling you is ridiculous. So when you are treated that way, and if you're treated that way, you really should. I'm not saying at the moment, because I'm sure for us to go to an ER, I know myself, I have to be in a great deal of pain to even make that effort to go, because I don't like being in that situation. I don't like being in hospitals or all the people, the noise, babies crying, it really stresses me out. So for me to go, I'm in a lot of pain, and usually it's for a migraine. So I'm not saying at that moment, do something, but when you get home, feeling a little bit better, call somebody, talk to somebody, report it to somebody, because that should not be happening. And fibro is now recognized as an illness, so this should not be happening, especially now. So please, stand up and tell somebody. And if you're not up for it, have a family member or someone else who can help you, who maybe has the want to do this for you. Maybe you just don't have it in you. You know, you have too much going on already. I understand that if you don't want to do that. But please have somebody, because this can't continue to happen. We shouldn't be treating like we're unimportant. You know, there shouldn't be nurses telling us, oh, you have fibro? Go sit back down. Are you kidding me? That's insane. I know that if that happened to me, I'm a little more out, and I'll say how I feel. I'm a little more like, I'm nice to people when people deserve to be treated nicely, but if you're going to treat me rudely and disrespect me, then, you know, you see the not nice MJ come out, and I try to keep that, you know, under wraps, because I don't want to be that way. But if someone's being out and out rude, they don't deserve my respect. So I would definitely tell someone, hey, you know, see me now. I don't care if you believe I have fibro or not. I'm sincerely in pain. Come take care of me. I've been lucky thus far, and I haven't had to deal with anything that ridiculous. I'm thankful for that, but I'm telling you now, I would definitely tell somebody and definitely do something about it, and I hope that you will too. Like I said, not at the moment, but when you have the fortitude and the energy to deal with that, then definitely tell somebody. We can't let this go on. And so just know that, and know that if you need help and you need to stick up for, you know, reach out to me. I know I can't help every single one of you all the time, but if I can and you need help, I will help you if I can. Yeah, man, really hot today. So then I was telling you about the blog. So as I was watching that, it sparked an idea, and so I wrote this because I thought, why not? So, thank you, Tony. It's called Marilyn Monroe. Could she have had fibromyalgia? As I sit here watching Autopsy, the last hours of Marilyn Monroe, I can't help but wonder, could she have had fibromyalgia? So many symptoms and similarities that we share, and that's always what has made me feel a connection to this beautiful yet tortured being. One significant difference is I'm cautious about the medications I take, and nothing in excess, ever. But there are those of us that feel there is no other way to cope, and I can understand that. She was molested as a child, check. She had endometriosis, check. She had a lot of stress and anxiety, check. Today she would have been diagnosed as bipolar, they say. Me, not as far as I know, but who knows? Let's add to my list someday. She dealt with a lot of pain for various reasons, check. Had severe depression, check. And can't sleep at night, check. Y'all know, if you haven't figured out by now, that I am a complete night owl, so sleeping at night is not an option. I have to be extremely exhausted from like days of rigorous things going on for me to be able to sleep like a normal person. It's okay. So she was prescribed and given by friends an enormous amount of medications, which appeared to be much more than she should have taken. Now, I can say this with certainty, that she did have fibro, that if she did have fibro, it could have been overlooked or dismissed, just as it had with me, as well as many other fibro warriors, throughout my tumultuous life. She felt trapped, as did I, which led to poor life choices and quick, thoughtless decisions that could have ultimately led to her demise. If she was here with us today, would she be diagnosed with fibromyalgia? I'm not a physician, of course, but through my vast experiences and what I've learned about the late Marilyn, it does seem quite likely. I know there will be those that say this is complete nonsense, and to that I say yes, maybe, because this is clearly speculation, and I'm allowed that, right? Maybe if she had received a proper diagnosis, whatever that may have been, she would have lived a longer and less tortured life. I say that because if I had received a proper diagnosis earlier in life, mine may have been quite different as well. I'm here and alive now, but still, I'll never know what could have been. I may only speculate. I am a collector of Marilyn Monroe items. Amongst those various things, I have an original Life magazine with Marilyn gracing its cover. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it's a magazine, the original Life magazine that my mom had given me that she's had all these years. And so I put it in a frame. And so people have called her many things. Only I see the smart, sweet, beautiful, and tortured soul that she truly was, not the ditzy dumb blonde that many choose to see. There is so much more below our book covers, those things that are invisible to the naked eye, but can be seen if you'd only take the time to look closely, Thus, honestly, try to understand those hidden treasures and demons we all have stashed away beneath our smiles. And happy 91st first birthday, Marilyn. I mean, I know that, it's speculation, but it's not completely far-fetched, right? She could have possibly had fibromyalgia or something else. But my point is that she was dealing with so much, and they weren't really truly trying to find out what was wrong with her. It just seemed like they just kept throwing medications at her. She needed medication to wake up. She needed medication to go to sleep. She needed medication to feel happy. She needed medication for the pain. She's taking so many things. Now, I don't like taking medication, so when doctors are trying to give me, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that medication. I want something that's not going to make me feel like a zombie, because I'm sure that she felt that way a lot of the time, because when you're on that many things, how can you not feel that way? I remember a doctor giving me a medication that truly made me feel unsafe. I couldn't drive or do anything. I didn't feel like I was safe for myself or others to be in a car or doing anything like that. I couldn't keep my mind focused on anything, and that was Topamax. And so knowing that she needed something for everything, getting up, going to sleep, all those things, I mean, that's not normal. Someone shouldn't need a pill for everything. To live life, you don't need a pill for every single thing. There's something wrong with this person. They didn't dig very deep to find out what was truly wrong with her. They're just like, here, this will help you go to sleep. Here, this will help you get up. Friends giving her drugs, which of course we all know that's not a smart thing to do. So she's taking all these things and things together that she probably shouldn't have been taking together. So she was probably in such angst. I can't even imagine how tortured she must have been. And of course the speculation that, she was, assassinated basically. Not assassin, I don't even know if that's the right word, but that people killed her. She overdosed because people wanted her to look that way.
I've never heard that. That's one of the
yeah,
theories?
they're saying that the Kennedys may have done it, that some other guy, I can't remember the other person's name, some other guy they accused of it, the doctor, that they say the doctor gave her a shot that ultimately made it look like she overdose. There's a bunch of things, a lot of speculation about how she actually died.
Right.
But because she was involved with both of the brothers, the Kennedys, they're saying that was a main conspiracy, that they are the ones that
I have
wanted her.
heard that before. I forgot about the Kennedy
something
thing.
to do with the mob, somebody in the mob. So, it's possible all that's just hearsay, and she did actually overdose. But I'm not saying that I think she did it on purpose. It's possible that it was accidental. She liked to drink. She's taking all these drugs. Everyone knows that's a horrible combination. She's taking things that she wasn't supposed to be taking together. There's 2 kinds of drugs that she was taking that she was not supposed to take together, that the doctor claimed, and then they later found out that he did give her, together, and they're not supposed to be taken together. They're very dangerous. So that could obviously be a contributing factor. But I guess what I'm really getting at is that, they gave her all these drugs, and that's probably why she didn't live. That she didn't live through it, because she was on so many medications that it was very possible that she was going to overdose without meaning to. They say she did try to commit suicide before, and that she ultimately called somebody for help. And it did look like she tried to do that again, but she was just so out of it that she didn't make the call, or the person wasn't there.
How old was she? Was she 28?
32, I want to say. I think 32.
Oh, okay.
And it's just sad. She was so young. She wasn't dumb, like people say, like people think she was, because that's what she portrayed herself on movies and stuff. She really wasn't dumb. She was so tortured. So many things that happened to her in her life, and she just didn't want to be like her mom, because her mom had mental issues, and she was so worried that she was going to turn into her mom. So you have to think about someone that's dealing with these demons all the time, and and the pain that she was in, and then all those things, and then you're adding all this medication. I'm sure that didn't help with her mental status. It's just sad that no one tried to fight for her a little bit more. I think she seemed and felt very alone. And that's kind of sad, because so many people loved her,
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like they loved her from afar and didn't really want to help her like they should have. Joe DiMaggio, even though they had divorced, he seems to be the one and only one who truly, truly cared about her, because he's continued to be in her life. And he took care of everything. He used to send her flowers, and he took care of the funeral when she passed, and made sure certain people couldn't come because he felt like they were contributing factors to her untimely death. And but it's just I can't help but wonder if they had found out what was truly wrong with her, if she would have lived a longer life and a happier life. It's kind of sad, because I think back, I got my diagnosis for fibro so late in life. I wonder if I had gotten it earlier in life, if I could have tackled it a different way, and knowing that it wasn't in my head and crazy, that I could have handled things a lot differently and a lot easier and a lot better. But because I didn't know it was wrong and I couldn't talk to people about it because I didn't understand, and you can't explain something if you don't understand yourself, you can't explain that to someone else. So you have to think about all the things that could have been different, how life could have been so different, and how her life could have been so different. So I'm not saying we're just alike. She's gorgeous and talented and everything, and everybody loved her. Everybody loved her movies and who she was and how beautiful she was. I relate to her as far as what she's been through. I can relate to those things. I can understand the pain that she must have felt, and some of the self-hate and not understanding what was going on with her, and being molested as a child and dealing with those things, and her mom, her health issues, and worrying that she was going to become that way. And she was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I can understand holding all those things inside and dealing with all those things, because you're literally fighting with yourself all the time. And so that I relate to that mostly. But anyway, so just watching that show, it's how a lot of my blogs come to be, is because something will spark an idea, and I guess that's really anything. And I'm like, and I'll just, sometimes it just comes to me and just flows, and I'll write something really quickly. And other times I really have to put a lot of thought into it. But a lot of the ones lately are just something that just comes out of me, and I just write down my thoughts. I like writing things down anyway, because it's a good way, and I've discovered this is a good way when you're feeling a certain way about something, and maybe it's not something you want to discuss with others, or you just want to get it out. I like to write it down, and writing it down is almost like getting it off your chest. It's like taking this load off, So if I'm upset about something, and I have these feelings about something, but I know that it's not worth saying because it'd probably just cause an argument, or the other person will understand. I just write it down. I write it down for myself.
I wish I was more
to
of a
get
writer.
it off. It really helps.
Well, you know what, I've heard that a million times, even as far as goals. They say write your goals down and put it on paper, and then you have a better chance of getting to a mood. I'm just not, I can write lyrics.
Right.
But something how I felt, it's like a diary.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Yes, it is. It's like writing a journal.
Yeah, I just can't. I've never been a writer that way, and I've always wanted to, because I believe it's true. To write it down, to physically put it somewhere like that,
Yeah.
it does something. But it's for me, it's I get bored with it, mid sentence, oh well, I'm gonna remember in my head anyway.
Right.
I'll find, because I do music, so that's my outlet.
Right.
So that's probably how I release.
Well, I was just gonna say that's one way, right?
Yeah, and when I write lyrics,
that's like
making
that's
the
like a
music.
journal as well. You writing your lyrics because it's about something you've experienced.
Right.
So
and that's the way I'm a writer. It's making the music is one. That's my biggest outlet. That's where I really get all the emotion out. And then the lyrics are just the icing on the cake to a degree, I guess. But the music is the main thing. But I've always, when people say, write it down, and I've always wanted to do that, but I wish it would.
There might possibly be a name for it, but I've heard of this where they say if something's you need to say something to somebody, maybe someone who's already passed on or something, or just someone that you'll never see again, but something that you needed to say to them that you never had a chance to. They say to write it on a piece of paper and then burn it.
I've heard that before.
I don't remember. I'm sure there's some name or something that goes along with that, but I've heard that people do that. This isn't that. You're not burning it, but you're getting it off of your chest. You're saying the things you really want to say, even though you don't get to say it to that person. You've said them. I can't explain where the
emotion goes.
Well, it's what's the word I want to say? Cathartic. I hate that when my brain goes away. It's just a feeling. It's a relief, like a feeling of relief that you've let these things go. Writing them down has helped you to let them go, and that has been very therapeutic for me, because I tend to, from all the years of keeping stuff to myself, I tend to want to keep things to myself sometimes, the things that I should be saying that sometimes I keep to myself, because I know better, because I know it's not going to solve anything. Sometimes that the other person or whatever situation is, that saying something isn't really going to solve anything, because sometimes the other person's just too stubborn.
Yeah, it's like talking to
get
a wall.
Yeah, so
yeah, I get that.
So
totally.
so you realize that it's not worth your effort because it's just going to stress you out more.
Yep.
It's better to just leave it alone. And
Yep.
so instead of hanging on to it like I used to do, I write it down. And writing it down, like I said, it's like letting it go. Like now that once I've written it down, I'm like, I feel better.
I think that
Yeah.
that's the difference between. That's what makes a writer. Do you write poems, right? Do you say you've written poems?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of writers do that. Like it's pretty much the same thing I was just saying. It's just I wish I could do that. I've always wanted to, but it's like I have a different way of expressing it. But I think that's like so you write your blog, for example.
Right.
Like I think that's a writer's I don't want to say technique, because
Right.
it's not a technique. It's just there's something to people that write, and it's like that's how they can get
Right.
like really express themselves and get to feel like they're
Right.
venting to a certain degree.
Well, the Marilyn Monroe one wasn't, because I'm supposed to be, I've set myself up, I set the schedule up from the beginning, like I want to do the blog every week, the podcast every week, the blog every 2 weeks, so on and so forth. But her birthday was on that day, on the
Okay.
1st, so I was like, and I kind of was like excited to get it out there. I can't really explain. I really wanted to get that out. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to put it out early. I know it's early, but, because I would like to stick with the schedule, but I was like, it doesn't hurt to be a little early. So now I have to be patient and wait to write the next one.
Well-
So, which I already started writing. I'm pretty much done with the next one.
If you know what, I
just
think
touch it up.
those things work. Like since it was her birthday, and you put it out on there. That's
Yeah.
like it fits so well together. It's,
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's consistency.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you waited like 2 months and then did something.
True,
It's-
true.
And I think people like a surprise every once in a while. Like,
Yeah.
it's her birthday, so
Yeah.
boom, I get, you know.
And it's nice to know that people are waiting for it too, which makes me stay accountable, knowing that because we're still catching up a little bit with our podcast. We're basically recording and getting it right out where usually we have more time, and so because we're trying to catch up, playing catch up. I feel like I have to get these things out every week, because if we just skipped a week, it would bother me.
Right.
Because I know people are waiting to hear it, and that's important to me, and I appreciate everyone's, so much that they want to hear our podcast every week, so I don't want to let anyone down.
Right.
And so with the blog, I was like, okay, I'm early. No one's going to be disappointed in that, I guess, so instead of being late. But yeah, I like to
It's
keep the
always
schedule.
better to be early than to be late.
True.
Golden rule.
Yep.
Out of the 1,000, that's one of the golden rules.
Right. Unless you're going to visit family and they're cooking dinner, you don't want to be early.
I'm
Because
still-
no one ever gets dinner ready on time, like Thanksgiving, for example.
We'd be sitting there all
You'd be sitting
day,
there for hours,
all
bored
day.
out of your mind.
And I would
waiting for
always
dinner.
not eat all day. I wouldn't eat breakfast
Right.
or anything, and I wait then it
Right.
come around the time when it's like, dude, it took way too long. But no, I can't help but being early. I can't stand being late. Like,
Yeah.
It's awful.
No, it's important to be on time for things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's very, very important. There was something else I was going to say, went off topic. What was it? Talked about the blog, podcast. What was it?
Did it have to
And-
do with the? Oh, go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to bring up, next week, I'm really looking forward to our podcast next week, having Diane back and Bill back. And, yeah, cool. And, because we wanted to do something a little different, and so I'm like, I was talking with Tony and Jojo, and we were like, let's bring back people we had on before. So I talked to Diane and Bill, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. Diane's really excited and thrilled to be back, and Bill, of course, my love, is always happy to help out. I'm glad I didn't decide to do it this week, because he got asked to do a show last minute, so he's doing a comedy show right now.
Cool.
So I'm glad that worked out. And what else?
How's the improv?
Improv is good. Oh, that was it. Thank you.
That's
Oh my God,
just-
you nailed it.
No,
How did you?
when I was sitting
That
there
is
trying
so
to think,
weird.
when I was like, hold on, I want to ask you something, I was trying to remember the word improv. I was like, the thing,
That
the
was-
thing, the thing. That's what
that
I
was it.
And I was going to
That's
ask you, and I was like, wait, what were you going to say? And then I was
Thank
trying
you,
to
thank
think
you,
improv.
thank you, thank you. You were awesome. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to bring up improv. So this is why I'm so exhausted. So Sunday we had an all-day improv class, and we go to San Diego. So it's about an hour drive to get there from our house, and we have to be there at 10 a.m. On the way there, we hit a little traffic because they were having some kind of a marathon or whatever for a rock station, I think it was. And so they actually had half the freeway closed off, which I've never seen before. But even though it was the other side of the freeway, there was so much traffic on our side, and of course, the exit I need to take is the first one that's blocked off. I'm like, man, so I had to go way around to get back. So needless to say, I ended up being late, where I would have been 10 minutes early, ended up being 10 minutes late, so which I hate. But thankfully, I wasn't the only one late, because a couple other people ended up being late. But so I was with my friend Renee Brown. She used to be in our improv class, but she moved away. So she was out visiting, came down for the class. I gave her a ride. So it was really lovely to have her. But the class, I can't tell you, it's so tiring, but I love it so much because it's a little more intense when we do it on Sundays, and we do it like every 3 months, and we go to this little place, and it's got a little stage, and it's nice. It gets a little warm in there, and I think that really zaps a lot of my energy. But just getting to work on things, and he really makes it more, not aggressive, but more intense, I guess is the right word. And so we really are working really hard to get the scene right. And now this isn't just the normal improv where they have games and it's jokey. This is more serious. Like, we're doing things that you could actually take and put into a TV show or into a movie, or you know what I mean. It's actually serious acting things that we're doing. It's not playing a game like and this and that, or if, or he told us about some things. I don't know anything because I didn't do any of those other improv classes. I only know this one. But this is pure acting. You're really, we're everything's spur of the moment, of course. It's still improv, but it's actual acting. We're actually doing scenes that you could plug in somewhere else and not just playing a game, which is what I love about it. And we do tongue twisters and read things as if we're doing voiceovers. And I find those interesting. I enjoy doing those the most. And then, of course, we do the scenes. But it's an all-day thing. So by the end of the day, and it's so hot, and I'm just done by the end of the day. And then I go pick up Bill. We get home. I get a few hours sleep. The next day, we have our Monday night class. So we get there, and that's a 4-hour class. And it's more. We did a little bit more of the same, and there was very few of us that made it back because a lot of us have to move things around in order to be there on Sunday. So some people make a point to be there Sunday, can't be there Monday. So there's only like 7 of us. So what was great about that is because I got to go up there a lot. So I got to do even more scenes and get even more practice. So, but because of those 2 days in a row were so intense, it's taking me days to get back. I'm so exhausted still. And for the first time in a long time, I actually slept at night. I actually went to sleep around midnight and got up in the afternoon. I'm like, oh my God, I slept a lot. But I went to sleep at night, which was
Did you feel better? Did you have more, was it like noticeably different as far as energy, or is it just? When
I first wake up, I still feel so tired.
Right.
I can't explain what the real reason is for that is, except for that the fibromyalgia is, even though we're sleeping, it's constantly working our muscles and, you know, irritating us basically. I know I kept getting like shocks to the night. My medication's probably starting to not work as well. So I'm getting that breakthrough pain that comes, which sometimes it's really, really painful, and other times it's simply annoying. It's just annoying things that are happening.
Right.
So I know I woke up to that a few times, but when I woke up at first, I felt I was in pain, like stiff, because when you're sleeping really hard like that, you kind of stay in one spot, which is bad for me because I have the RA and our regular arthritis as well, osteo. So staying in one spot for a long time makes my joints ache anyway. So I woke up kind of achy. But after I got going, by the time you guys got here, you saw I was feeling all right. I was doing much better. So I did feel better eventually after I had my tea and got moving. I did start to feel a little better. So I'm happy for that. And I did get decent sleep compared to what I usually get. I did get some decent sleep, and I had a bunch of dreams, like some really random.
Super vivid.
Oh yeah,
I
have very. I always remember my dreams. It's very strange.
Me
In fact, I can even go back. Like I'll wake up from the dream and I can go back into the dream.
That's what I want to do. I can't do that.
And you know why I know? Because I'll wake up from the dream again. I'm like, oh, that was the same dream. I'll realize that I was just dreaming the same thing.
See, I can't do that. Like another night, I might dream about the same place, but I'll wake up and be like, oh, that was cool. I'm going to think about that and go right back, and then I'll go and it'll be something totally different.
You want to laugh at what this dream is about? Okay, so my son, he's in the Coast Guard, and I can't remember what the whole premise of the dream was, but my son was involved in it as Coast Guard, and there were pirates. So they're pirates, like actual pirates,
Right.
not like modern day
Like Johnny
pirates,
Depp,
like
you
the
talking about like,
like
yeah,
the
like
pirates,
Pirates of the
yes,
Caribbean, yeah.
yes, like the pirates
like
from
some-
there.
right.
And of course, that's so absurd. And I remember there were pirates, but I don't remember actually being on the water at any point. It was almost like everything was on land. It was very strange. It was a very strange dream.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember waking up and going, "Wow, this is pretty cool. I want to go back." And I like went right back into it. But yeah, it's funny how certain things bring on the dream, like a person or a place or a thing that happened within that day or so, that will instigate the dream. So if you ever notice, and sometimes we think to ourselves, "Oh, what does our dream mean?" If you really think about it. If you're one of those people that are able to remember what you dream, think about what was in that dream, who was in that dream, where you were, what was happening, and I can guarantee you can link it to something that's happened within that past week in your life that has sparked that dream. There's a reason for that dream because it's something that you have done or talked about or thought of recently. That's why it was in your head. I don't think that dreams necessarily have a meaning. I think it's just that things that we do in our lives, and it ends up in the dream somehow. Not always in the sequence that it should be, and not
Right.
always making sense, but that person, place, or thing, or whatever will come up in your dream because it's something that you've thought about or done or experienced recently. That's my experience anyway.
Right.
But anyway, it's hot. So once again, I just wanted to reiterate about the ER. You have that bad experience. Don't let it go unnoticed, because if they continue to do these things and no one says anything, they're just going to get away with it and keep doing it to other people. So we have to make sure that this doesn't continue to happen, because it shouldn't happen. And fibro is now essentially known, and it's a real disease. It's recognized as a real disease. People should not be treating us as though we're not important. Yes, I understand once again that there are drug seekers and people who are using that as an excuse because you can't see fibromyalgia and you can't prove whether they have it or not. I understand why that's happening, but that doesn't mean to treat us rudely. There's no reason to treat anyone rudely. You have to assess them. I'm sure there's other ways you can tell if someone has pain. I know that when I'm in a lot of pain, my blood pressure goes up. I'm sure that there's things like that they can detect, that something's really wrong with you, even though you can't tell if it's fibro, that this person's really in pain, that they're not making it up. I don't imagine all drug seekers are going to have high blood pressure, for example. So I'm sure that there's ways that they could figure it out. The fact that they just push you aside instantly and don't even check you to see that if you're okay first is what really upsets me, because what if it was something even more serious than just fibro pain? What if it was something more serious that they've overlooked and then something serious happens to you, heart attack or whatever, you don't know. And that's what upsets me, is that they're pushing you aside because they just don't want to be bothered with you because they heard the word fibro or fibromyalgia. And then it turns out it's something even more than that. Yeah, I tell them when I go to the ER they have fibro, but I'm always usually going in there for a migraine. So I'm like, I have a migraine, I have fibro, I have RA, I talk about those things. I've been lucky enough not to get the face, which I have had, I have seen other people do when I tell people about it, but I haven't had a doctor do that to me recently. Before, telling people I have pains and not being able to find it, I've had the doctors look at me like, okay, you're full of it, because they've done x-rays and everything and nothing showed up. I remember that face, and I'm sure that's the face people are getting when they mention fibro, and that shouldn't be happening once again. So stick up for yourself, guys. It's important that we do that. And I hope that you enjoyed the Marilyn Monroe blog. And I'm really, I got to tell you guys, having the comedy class, the improv class, it does wonders, not just for the having something to do each week and having something to look forward to, the laughter, getting to laugh and doing something that's outside of the box a little bit. It makes a difference, and laughter really does help. I'm like, there's some times when I'm feeling crappy, and I start doing the improv and get up there doing a scene. And it's good for me too, because it's not something I have to stand all day. We get up, do a scene, I get to sit down and watch other people. So I'm not on my feet all day. I get to go up there and do a scene and have fun, and then sit down and relax. So it's not too tremendously stressful as far as how I feel pain-wise. But it does really help with my mental status. Like sometimes if I'm in a lot of pain, it really affects me mentally. It really stresses me out. It makes me feel down. And then I get to have this class, and you forget about all that. You're so busy talking and laughing with everybody that you completely forget how much pain you're in and how bad you feel. Even if it's just for a moment, any time to not feel like that. That's why I love when I'm asleep. When I'm asleep, I'm not thinking about the pain. I'm dreaming about something crazy thing like pirates instead of thinking about, oh, I'm in pain, you know. So I love being able to sleep when I know that I've woken up from a dream. I'm actually happy because that means I was actually sleeping. The fact that I was dreaming and I remember dreams like, oh, I was really sleeping, you know, that makes me happy. So yeah, it's not just about having something to look forward to each week. It's about the people that I have in my class and how supportive everybody is, and getting to get there and laugh and just take yourself out of the moment and just have fun. You know, it's important. So if you can find anything to do, some people like knitting and sewing and things like that. Some people like to paint, which I wish I need to get back into. You know, singing, whatever it is that you like to do that makes you happy, like do it as often as you can. Because getting your mind off of how you feel is really important. So I just wanted to say that. Anyway, how's our time?
Oh, we're good.
We're good? Okay. All right, y'all. As you know, you are not alone. I love you. 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 I love you.
Lash out. Don't take it personal.
Right.
You know, kick your ego aside and just try to understand your loved one.
Right. That's great.
That's
true.
That's great. What did you say?
Well, one thing that I learned, I probably mentioned this on whatever podcast was on, number 6, was it? Sometimes just allow that person to be sad. You know, your natural instinct when you have a loved one that says, you know, I'm in pain, I'm hurting, whatever, and you just want to come to their aid, you want to go help them, what can I do, what can I do? Sometimes just leave them alone.
Right.
Sometimes you need to cry. Sometimes you need to be alone and work it out in your head.
Sometimes
let you know I'm there for you, but you know, don't try to fix every problem.
Exactly. Sometimes
just shut up and just, you know what, I'm here, whatever you need.
So you're saying that she's sad, and my husband's saying that I'm grumpy and bitchy.
well,
Thanks, guys.
Well, he could have said
not necessarily in those words, but
I know. I'm just teasing
I'm
you
grumpy
guys.
and bitchy too.
I'm just teasing you guys.
I have those moments. So
I think we all do.
yeah.